Welcome, everybody. This is Dr. Doug Pernikoff and my lovely co-host, Cindy Vickers, and we are here at Dr. Doug's All Things Animal radio show. We have an interesting guest today, as someone, in fact, that I've known for a number of years because we were in vet school together in the same class. And although I behaved, Dr. Kenneth Kopp did not behave. But anyway, let me introduce Dr. Ken Kopp. You want to say hi?
Oh, I could tell stories about behavior.
No, don't.
Hello. Glad to be here. It's fun. I said earlier, Doug always made school very fun, and he still does. He makes life fun.
Yeah. Well, Ken, I want you to introduce yourself. I know Ken is a equine veterinarian where he started, but in the last 25 years, he's been working in industry. So why don't you give us a little bit about your initial history? And
Sure.
Were you raised with horses, by the way?
No, I grew up in the suburbs. Thought I was going to go to medical school. Then I figured out I really didn't want to work on people. Had dogs and cats. My aunts and uncles had farm animals. And I said to my dad, I need more animal experience. And this is a cool story. I forgot about it.
Well, by all means, please tell us the cool story. That dumb story.
So my dad had a paving business, and he put in all the roads over at Grant's Farm, and he knew the farm manager, Grant's Farm. He called over there and he explained. He said, "Sure, send him over. We'll put him to work doing something." And so they put me in charge of the giant tortoises.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah, and so I picked up turtle poop for 2 days, and but I had played football, was big and strong, knew how to work, shovel asphalt, and 2 tractor trailer loads of alfalfa hay came in for the Clydesdales down the hill, and they said, "Well, you're big and strong, go down there and unload that hay." And so I got up and started really bucking these bales, and the herdsman for the Clydesdales comes by, Barry Farrell. He says, "Who are you?" I said, "I'm in charge of the giant tortoises." He said, "The way you're working, not anymore, you're working for the Clydesdales."
Oh,
so
right.
that's where it all started. If that hay hadn't shown up, I'd be doing turtle laser work and turtle nutrition work. So I was interested in horses all through vet school, as Doug knew, and then did some postgraduate work in horses at the University of Georgia, nearly stayed. But the Clydesdales were calling, ended up back here as their attending veterinarian, had a 3.5, 4 practice out in St. Charles, did that all the way up till 91, and then my back gave out. Turns out I got a hole in my last lumbar vertebrae, congenital anomaly. I should have been working on poodles instead of Clydesdales. So I jumped ship to industry in 91, mainly on the nutrition side. My wife has a human nutrition degree, so I was always intrigued with nutrition and did a lot with supplements and horse feeds, and then now I have my own consulting company. I have 2 clients, nutrition and this therapeutic laser company.
Wow. Yeah, that's really a neat change. I mean, I remember you as the horse guy. So I always tell people it's like riding motorcycles. If you work with horses, someday you're going to get hurt. Is that a pretty fair statement?
Yeah, I've been hurt. I've broke this arm and these ribs, but what was really interesting.
And the audience didn't see that, so I'm going to say that was the left arm
right,
and the right ribs.
Yeah, and how'd that happen?
That's another good story.
We are hit jackpot today.
So I was new in a practice out in St. Charles. I'd been at the University of Georgia, and one of my first week or so, I was going to go out to pregnancy exam, these mares, brood mares. No big deal.
Pregnancy check.
I
like it.
I like it, yeah.
So the way we do that is a rectal palpation, the full arm into the mare. And it's dangerous for you and it's dangerous for the mare. If she would move, you could rupture the rectum. So I pull in, and the owner of the horses was just collecting the mares up along this gravel road. And I introduced myself, and he was, of course, one of their better clients. And where's Doc? Well, Doc's not here. It's me, the other Doc.
Yeah.
I said, okay, well, let's go up to the barn. I'll palpate the mares. He said, well, Doc just does it right here on the road. We don't do it up in the stall,
that was your first mistake.
That sounds crazy.
It is crazy.
And not cross-tied or anything?
Nothing.
No.
Yeah.
So
big word.
Oh, I
Cross-tied.
spent some time with the horses.
So I said, okay. I didn't want to rock the boat, so we'll get started. And I was very nervous about this. So I'm reaching around the corner, standing close to the mare, and I feel her tail clamp down, and I look up to see where he is, because I need to know which way to turn. Well, it turns out he's got like a 6-foot lead on the end of this mare sitting on my car. And she turns directly at me and fires with both feet. And I distinctly remember it was a gravel road, flying through the air, looking at the gravel when I was going to hit.
Oh, wow.
And I'm down like a guppy. I wanted to put a twitch on her. Doug knows what a twitch is. It's where you hold their nose to keep them
I
from
use one on
moving.
my wife every day, but
Poor Marilyn. And so he didn't want me to do that. So I'm laying there. I couldn't get my breath. And
you got kicked in the chest.
in my ribs.
Oh, my God.
And they were broke, and this arm was broke. I didn't know it. And he comes over and says, I guess we should have put a twitch on her, Doc. And I was so mad. And so I learned a long time ago, when a horse does that, you can't let him get away with it. So I jumped up and I grabbed her and I thumped her with my foot under her belly, and that hurt. We went up to the stall. I put a bunch of drugs into her and got her and the rest of the horses checked, and he gave me ice for my wrist. I wrote the bill up, went to my next call. I didn't know any of this.
Wow.
And I couldn't get back in the car.
It was too painful.
Well, then I went to the hospital. I was bleeding internally and
Oh, wow.
had a broken wrist. And
Wow.
so yeah, it can be dangerous.
Well, so was there no other way?
Well, I was young and naive and didn't want to rock the boat, but I learned unless we did it safely, I wasn't doing it
But
anymore.
is there no other way to do a pregnancy check than to, go into something that really...
It's
you have to
quick and
say-
easy.
Well, it didn't sound quick and easy. You said it was
Well,
dangerous and...
With the right restraint, it's not that dangerous. And most of the farms will have stocks that you can walk them into that are protective. And I was just young and stupid.
Well, I'm concerned also for the horse.
Well, it's dangerous. It's dangerous for the horse because if they move,
Yeah, and it probably terrifies them. So they have there's no precursor to this. I mean, this is what I'm going to do. So you do something really dramatic and scary and painful.
the brood mares
expect?
that have this, they have babies every year.
They're used to it.
It's routine. But
Right.
a young mare, you got to ease them into it. A lot of times we'll
Yeah.
sedate them.
Do they? Do you think the horses can recognize that this is a new guy versus the standard vet that's always managing them? Do you think they can discriminate?
Of course.
Oh, I think so.
Of course.
Especially,
of course. That's
Yes,
not an absolute.
of course.
Of course.
especially if, like, I was at a breeding farm and I'd see these 3 days a week. Now,
Yeah.
if you're there twice a year, no.
Yeah.
But they just don't like anything different or change. I
Right,
mean, it's just
right.
stressful.
Would they wink at you if you came by?
I don't know.
Okay,
if you-
now just you're being weird now. Come on.
What's wrong with weird? What's
What
wrong
makes
with
you
weird?
think so a horse could not recognize a person?
No, the whole exercise, because, horses aren't always considered to be the brightest of critters. I don't know if that's true or you believe that, but
Well, they're very bright. The problem is the way their response is flight or fight. I mean, they
Right.
don't fight. They
Yeah.
and they
just
run
go.
you over. That's
And
how
they're
they
so
got away
strong.
from the lion.
right.
Yeah, so they're not dumb. It's just that they're smarter than some people is the problem.
Really.
Right, and
Not as smart as the tortoises, though.
That's true.
and they're very visual. That's why you see a horse will buck at something that's even strange in their path. Sometimes you'll get a big behavior from that, like bucking or just really trying to escape something. Okay, just everybody, I'm trying to explain this. He's looking at me like cross-eyed and making a face and being weird, and I'm being serious. But
I didn't know you had so much horse experience. I'm
I have
just
a
kind
little
of
bit of horse
Yeah, I
experience.
mean,
I've
did
done
you-
massage with him and energy work with him and
Really?
and volunteered
Here-
with him a lot and stuff.
You remember
I'm
Dr.
going on a vacation in March to a ranch.
Oh my gosh.
Speaking of horses.
When are we going?
You remember Dr. Youngquist?
Sure,
One of our
yeah.
favorite
Our
professors. was in
reproductive-
reproduction at Missouri. He said, if you want to get a horse pregnant,
Okay, and again, the conversation's getting weird, but carry on.
you need to think like a mare. And that's what veterinarians, when they're working around horses, you need to think like a horse. And if you think like a human, you're going to get in trouble.
So what's the
to think
what is
about
the
that.
tip?
Yeah.
So what is that? What do mares think about getting pregnant?
Well, what he was referring to is
You open that can of worms now.
I could talk reproduction all day long.
Okay, that's cool. Let's do that.
All their cycles, all the endocrinology, what they're doing after foaling, all of that, But just working around horses, they have a blind spot in front of them. They don't see directly behind them too well. Mm-hmm. They're colorblind, things like that.
Well, so if you want to get a mare pregnant, you do what?
Well, we go back to basic physiology.
Well, I mean, I realize there needs to be, the stud has to be involved. But what is it, what do they mean by that? Obviously the two horses have to get together, but what was that reference that they...
Understanding all of their cycles. Mares quit cycling in the wintertime, and they have a transition period, and after foaling, after delivery.
You're just talking about the process of
but that's
managing
not
a breeding
thinking.
station.
Yeah, but that's not thinking like a mare. That's what's an intriguing part of that. What's thinking like what does that mean? Like
physiologically.
That they wouldn't.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so
physiologically.
I mean, you don't go out to the barn dressed up like a mare, do you?
Not recently.
Okay,
not recently.
Good.
Yeah, I would think what would cause them to be more receptive to one horse as opposed to another, or.
Well, I mean, I don't think it's a whole lot different than humans.
Carry on.
I mean, I'm just thinking, the way you look at me all the time is
that's
just...
not true for anybody, please. It is not true.
I respect you more now.
Yeah, he was wondering why you were here on the show. So that's really interesting. Like I said, I did a little bit of horse work when I first graduated. Scared the heck out of me, and I'll never forget one funny story. I got called out one night for an emergency. It was in some little barn. There was a little flashlight hanging and just messy as can be. And the lady had called me and told me that the horse down the lower leg was bleeding. It had cut an artery. So I'm reading up on everything. I'm getting all my drugs right, prepared everything. And I go there and I can't see. All I see is a bunch of dried blood on there. So I go through the whole shebang of knocking it, sedating it and this and that. And by the time I got there, it was just a little scratch. So I thought, well, I better make this look good. So I packed it up like, a big major pack. And they thought I was amazing. And I thought, I got to get out of this business quickly. But, it's the same thing in the zoo world. I mean, everything has to be controlled. Otherwise, somebody's going to get really hurt.
Right.
And
safety first.
Right. Never for the animal and the people. And it's interesting working with different animals and understanding their natural history and their physiology. That's what you're talking about. And I remember at the zoo, we were standing next to a camel. And I knew that cows kind of kicked one way. Horses kick pretty much straight back, don't they? Mm-hmm. And then we're standing there with the keeper, and literally this camel leg comes up straight, 90 degrees straight up, and swings out. And I saw it right here. It just extended right to an inch from my face.
Front leg?
It was rear leg.
Rear leg.
Are you saying it comes up to the side?
It comes straight out, 90 degrees, and kicks straight out. And I went, whoa. I mean, the keeper and I just like went dead silent. And I thought, okay.
I've been spared.
I've been spared. But very scary.
I do remember this, Doug, because when we graduated, it was like two of us that were going to do strictly horses, and it was speculated we would be the ones hurt the worst, quickest.
That's the bet that goes on in the...
Well, at the first reunion or second reunion, it was the small animal vets.
They got bit and stuff.
Cats got bit in the face, infected bite wounds,
Yeah.
So it can happen.
Any species.
That's right.
I had real quickly, and we're going to take a break in a second, but I had an iguana that would come in, and it became mature. Sexually mature. It was a male, and the owner loved this thing, but it became very aggressive. So we talked about what we might do, this and that, went home, and about a week later I get a call from the emergency clinic, and the doctor goes, hi, I've got this lady in. She claims that her iguana bit her face off.
Oh my
but
God.
I think it's her husband. And I said, no, I know that iguana. It was the iguana. And the iguana literally was chasing her, and he just grabbed her cheek and
Really?
just tore it
I have
down.
never heard an aggressive iguana story.
Oh my
ever.
God! You have to hang around the clinic a
No,
little more.
well, I guess I do.
Yeah, I mean, if they're not whipping you with their tails, slashing you with their claws, they're trying to bite you, and it just works.
Okay, well, I don't
It's
want
a lot
one.
like women.
I don't want
They're a
one.
lot different.
I want to hear about nutrition. So is that coming up next? 'Cause
Yeah,
I really want
next
to talk about
segment we're going to go ahead and take a break, and then we'll come right back and talk some special nutrition with Dr. Ken Kopp, private consultant in animal products. And so Cindy and Dr. Doug here at Dr. Doug's All Things Animal Radio Show, thank you for listening. We'll be back in just a moment.
Hello, I'm Mr. Ed.
Welcome back, everybody. It's Dr. Doug Pernikoff, Cindy Vickers, and our special guest, Dr. Ken Kopp. He's going to tell us he transitioned from work as a veterinarian, and particularly an equine veterinarian, and now, in the last 25 years, he got into product development in the animal industry space. So, real quickly, in one or two sentences, tell us how that transition came to be, and did you have to do anything special in preparing yourself for consultancy?
A lot of pressure. One or two sentences. I'll keep track.
Well,
Go.
as I said, my wife had a nutrition degree. I learned a lot from her. And so, yeah, we don't get a lot of nutrition in vet school.
No,
That's
we don't.
three.
MDs don't get a lot of nutrition right now. So a lot of it was self-taught, working with PhD nutritionists. But I was interested in prevention. I got tired of throwing drugs and doing surgery all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And really, I learned a lot from the food animal vets. The food animal vets can't do what we do in equine and small animal. They have to prevent things.
Right.
The immune system. I got real interested in the immune system, this joint work, interested in how we could feed animals for healthier joints. So that's how I got into it, and it's been a lot of fun.
So this first product that you, I know we participated in some studies with you. Can you talk a little bit about this? It's an interesting product.
It really is. We've all peeled a hard-boiled egg, and as you peel the shell, there's a membrane or skin that tends to get in your way. It's eggshell membrane. It's part of the embryonic chick. It's actually the placenta or amnion for the developing chick. And the good Lord puts something in that membrane that has powerful systemic anti-inflammatory benefits. It's very interesting how this got started. It was down in Carthage, Missouri. It was a big layer operation, layers being chickens that lay eggs, and 30% of the eggs are broken in the United States for recipes, for Pillsbury dough companies, and they would throw the eggshell and the membrane away. Well, this man in the early 90s said there must be a use for that, and he patented a way to separate the membrane from the shell. He had it dried and powdered and started lab animal work and demonstrated the anti-inflammatory work. And then he's got human double-blind placebo work in humans, the anti-inflammatory effect. I started taking it for my back that I recognized. My mother was on it, and it works. I did work in horses with it, and so the study Doug's referring to, they wanted a double-blind, placebo-controlled, multi-clinic study in canine with canine arthritis. And we had 6-7 clinics, and we were able to get not only symptom modifying, the dogs were less painful, we had disease modifying, and the beauty of it is there's no side effects.
So I have to interject. Why do you think, because I like form and function and all this stuff, and why would that be important in a developing egg, do you think?
I don't know. When I get upstairs, I'm going to ask the big guy. I don't know. And people, we have this reductionist mentality. We want to reduce it down to what the active is. I don't think we'll ever figure it out. It's a holistic. I think it's the peptides that are in there, and this is getting a little deep, but they really think, based on the lab animal work, it's working on systemic inflammation at the gut level, down-regulating systemic inflammation at the gut level, and it's really a cool product.
You were telling me the other day about leaky gut syndrome in many species. So is this something that would help prevent that?
Doug always had leaky mouth syndrome.
Yes, still does.
So
I love the way everybody just takes advantage of me. You know, what the heck?
We're just
It's
stating
love.
observations.
yeah, we're very observant.
Yes.
We're very observant.
I get it.
So this is a fascinating area. I could come back and do a whole hour on leaky gut. I followed this for 20 years, and there's really good work in humans with Crohn's disease and canine atopy, human skin problems, human allergies now. And what's going on is the lining cells to your intestine line up like little chiclets side by side, and they need to stay together side by side, and there's little tight junctions that hold them together. With heat, with stress, with drugs, antibiotics, the lining cells spread just a little bit, and they leak bad stuff across to the other side where 80% of our immune system lives, the lymphocytes, the gut-associated lymphocytes. And what happens, they go on high alert and say, invader, 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 and then all kinds of systemic problems happen. Systemic inflammation, allergies, they think autoimmune disease now is related
Stimulated by that.
It's a fascinating area.
So what are some of the foods that should be avoided to prevent leaky gut system, or things that should be added to your diet?
Sugar.
So I'm going to say that, yeah.
Sugars, the raw sugar in corn is killing us. Corn has changed all the meat, the fatty acids in meat. It's flipped the fatty acid ratios. We just consume way too much sugar, and it affects the microbiota. We eat a lot of foods that cause acidic conditions, mycotoxin, stress in animals.
Was that
leaky
acidic or Hasidic?
So, okay, can I
Stress
just interject
is a
one
big
thing?
part.
So here's why I'm not going to mention names, but the conversation was that if corn is one of the main ingredients in
Main
a dog
staple.
food, it does not matter, because it's just some of the amino acids come from corn, and then the other amino acids come from other things, and animals doesn't matter to animals how they get their complete protein as long as they get it. And so you're saying, and I've heard this before, and I've heard this about leaky gut syndrome, that corn is not, and it is not a suitable substitute, because just because corn in and of itself is a problem.
Well, corn has some benefits. I mean, it's very high in energy, and we need calories. So it's everything in moderation. It's not that corn in itself is toxic. In horses, we get into trouble because it dumps too much carbohydrate, too much starch on the hindgut. They were never designed to, they're forage eaters. So horses are consuming too much starch. We're consuming too much starch and sugar.
And in dog food, in some cases, it's the number one ingredient. So that's what they're eating every day.
I would like to see a meat diet. They were designed to eat. I mean, look at how they evolved. I mean, that's half my problem in horses is they want to feed them too much grain.
Right, yeah. Well, I mean, we get irritable bowel disease, all kinds of syndromes.
That's leaky gut.
Yeah, so I mean, these are big problems that became, a problem as a result of all the commercialized diets. And for many years in the zoo world, when the zoo nutritionists like Dr. Dierenfeld, we've had on the show before, came to be, they started talking about, we got these standardized grain-based diets or whatever. We need more natural product. We need more, a broader range of opportunities. And we have to look at the animal, their evolution and their natural history,
Right.
so we understand what they should be eating, what they're familiar
Well, and
eating.
then how contaminated or unpure even the meat sources. You have to look at that, because if it's not like a grass, if that animal's not eating naturally, then that is just fed corn. And
I think when my mother grew up on a farm, which she did in Arkansas, cows ate grass. Pigs were out on the pasture. Chickens were out on the pasture. They didn't feed corn to these animals. And so the fatty acid ratio, corn's high in omega-6s, which is inflammatory. Grass is omega-3s, which is anti-inflammatory. So the ratio in the meat that we're consuming has completely flipped. And I've studied omega-3s. I've done a lot of research in horses and other animals with it. I take 7-8 fish oil capsules a day.
I thought there was something fishy about you.
That's right. And the reason I do that is you've got to get enough fish oil in you because the ratio of the meat is out of whack. Now, if it's grass-fed beef, you're okay. You see where I'm going?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's the unintended consequences that corn has caused. In and of itself, it's not toxic. It's just that we have a lot of it, and we have big companies that find every way they can to put corn in everything.
Mm-hmm. God,
It's just out of moderation.
Corn chips.
Out of
dang.
balance. Yeah.
Moderation.
sugar.
Yeah.
Moderation.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about this product now. So how it's being used and what product have you incorporated into? I know we're using some of that product, but go ahead.
There's supplements. It's mainly on the supplement side. They're not putting this into feeds. It's on the supplement side. There are supplements available with natural eggshell membrane for dogs and horses, and I take it for humans.
What's the supplement look like? Is it like a pill or a capsule? Or
For dogs, it's a little flavored caplet. It's called Steadfast.
and what about for people?
It's called Joint Health. I get it made by Red Remedies. I get it from Amazon, and I have no affiliation with these companies. I'm not making any money on this, but it works. It flat works.
How about the cats? Are they allowed to use the Steadfast? I can't remember.
I shared with Doug when I did this arthritis study in canine. I had no idea how bad arthritis is in cats, and there's not a lot of good pharmaceutical solutions, as Dr. Doug knows, and they develop personality problems and litter box problems, and it's all leading to pain. They're in pain. And I've been feeding my cat for 2 years the canine product. I hope somebody will develop a feline only, but that's a huge area. It's a huge problem.
Yes, yeah. I think it's really neat. We've had good success clinically too. We use it a lot of times with other medicaments, so we don't have to move away from traditional care, but we can add and supplement to it.
Or you can reduce the dosage of the non-steroidals,
right,
which is critical.
And the steroidal products.
That's right.
Yeah.
So we're going to take another break real quickly, and we'll be back. Cindy and I will be visiting with Dr. Ken Kopp, and we're going to move into another area, a very interesting product line that he's working with, and I'll let him introduce that when we come back. Thank you for listening. We'll be back in just a moment.
A horse is a horse, of course, and this one will talk to him. His voice is hoarse. You never heard of a talking horse? Well, listen to this. I am Mr. Ed.
We're back again with Dr. Kenneth Kopp and my wonderful co-host, Cindy Vickers. And someone is making noises.
It's your guest.
My gas.
Guest.
Oh, my gas. Okay, so Dr. Ken Kopp was just talking about a nutritional product he's working with, and now he has another interesting product. It's a cold laser, we call it, which has been used in human medicine for rehab and all kinds of things for over 25 years, and the last 10 years or so has just been entered into the veterinary market. So Ken, tell us a little bit how you got into this product.
You can put it on your hand, press it on.
If you hear that
face.
beeping, that's the device that he
In fact,
brought to
it's
show
very
us.
good for collagen deposition. There you go. Not that you need any collagen.
I do. Done.
It's a breast enhancer as well. So
Hush. Is it on?
It is on. It's blinking. It's perfectly safe. You can't injure yourself. So
Can I take it home?
Sure. How I got into this, when I was putting this arthritis study together, I was looking for anti-inflammatory protocols in anything. And this company out of Cleveland, they have tremendous research. And I read their human data. And I said to my mother, who was with us at the time, she has clinical arthritis rheumatoid. I said, Mom, this is really good data. And the eggshell membrane had helped her, but she was still having issues. So we bought one for her, and she started pointing at her knees, and it changed her life. I started pointing at my back, and it blew me away. And I quit practicing a long time ago. If I had these lasers 25 years ago, I'd still be working on Clydesdales.
Really? I
Because
like that.
what's very interesting about this, there's been a lot of therapeutic lasers. There's out there now, but they came from surgical lasers, and all they did was dial them down and called them therapeutic, and they will burn tissue. And that's why you got to keep moving. You could put that right on your skin, and you'll never burn anything. And that's the beauties of these. These were built from the ground up, and it's a really interesting story. I kept calling Cleveland, and I thought they were deep Slavic accents. Well, they had me up for the human podiatry seminars and pain management. Turns out they're all Russians.
Ah,
Now, Putin and Trump are not involved in this company whatsoever.
that you know of.
No. So it's an American company. 25 years ago,
Wow, Cindy, that's amazing.
when the Soviet Union broke up, that these PhDs immigrated.
Sure.
And what happened was they threw rubles and rubles at these PhDs for the cosmonaut program. And they learned in long-term space travel, if you had a scrape or an injury, it wouldn't heal as well up there till they got under the grow lights for the plants. And that's when the light bulb went off. And literally, they've teamed up with NASA, and this, not this exact laser, but this technology is on the space station right
This
now.
is called a class 4 laser. No, it's
That's
not.
the confusion. All of the lasers that are out there right now are class 4. This is a class 1, and FDA classification's only based on safety, not efficacy. A class 4 will damage your retina and burn a black Labrador. This, we're actually doing, it's anecdotal, but we're doing corneal ulcers with it. So this will never burn, but it's tremendous depth of penetration. This is that Russian technology. You'll be happy to know some of it comes out of Israel as well.
Yeah.
And it's a super pulsing. So all you're seeing, Cindy, is the visible red. There's an infrared and the laser you can't see. And the laser is super pulse, so it's very high power, Doug, higher than class 4 lasers, but for nanoseconds.
I've not taken it off my face since the conversation started.
But it has no heat, right? You don't feel.
No,
you
I
feel.
but I can have it, right?
Amazing how your lips look now. They're very much different. So let me ask you. So I thought the basic principle in a very high level, very simple way is described that you're actually, the rays are stimulating the cells to their ATP to utilize energy more efficiently in the cell, which allows healing to take place. Is that correct?
You actually listen to
class.
my presentations. Yes, the light. So basic biology. We all remember the cell. Within the cell, something called a mitochondria. That was the powerhouse of the cell.
Little rod-looking
That's right.
thing.
And
See, I know
it
stuff.
does.
You think
It
I
does.
don't?
It does. And when you look at that, it's similar, Cindy, to chlorophyll structurally. Chlorophyll in a plant is photoreceptive.
It's the energy source for plants.
And mitochondria responds the same way. So when the mitochondria are hit with light, all it does, in simple terms, it turns on all the good cell machinery. You know, everyone's into regenerative medicine. It turns on ATP and reactive oxygen species that then turn on transcription factors. And nitric oxide is released. Nitric oxide, we get vasodilation, big increase in
Circulation
tissue
also.
oxygen.
Yeah.
And so the audience can't see it now, but what color is that light right now, Cindy?
Blue.
Okay. This is really
Now we're serious.
this is really cool work. So you won't see this with class 4s. The blue light,
It only goes blue, right? I'm just guessing because Cindy's been using it on really old skin.
Oh, you need to stop yourself before somebody gets hurt. No, he took this from me and he pressed another button and it changed
to
color.
blue. So
There's going to have to be a payback now. For that.
No, the blue light has a very special purpose, and I know what it is.
What
but
is
I'm
it?
I'm going to let him.
So
tell
there's
you.
incredible work on the blue light now. It has broad spectrum antimicrobial effects, and even with MRSA, if we know what MRSA is,
yeah.
methicillin resistant Staph aureus. That's those terrible skin infections that can come from hospitals or gymnasiums.
Does that include the melting skin syndrome?
Yep, that's
that I
right.
talked about?
And it will MRSA.
I have to interrupt, but I'm telling you what. At school today, a kid got really sick, like really violently vomiting. Of course, 2 feet from me, and that's why I feel like I need to put this all over.
You need to bathe in the blue light.
Yes, I do.
Please keep your clothes on if you need
I'm
more.
going to. Oh, who said that? Oh,
Don't,
Not
Cindy,
he.
don't put your blouse back on. That's just so horrible.
I'm so sorry. This is not happening.
So, MRSA is a bad bug, as Dr. Doug knows. And there's really good data. This will knock it out.
You know, I'm using, seriously now, I had a dog in the clinic right now that had a really bad abscess in the salivary gland. And I cultured it, and I got 2 organisms, one of which was MRSA. So we've been treating it very well with the laser twice a day, along with antibiotics.
No, that's huge.
No, it is very
But
huge.
would you? Well, it's not exactly a control study. I mean, if you just did the,
There's
you don't
control
know.
work. Very
his.
control work. He's seen the control work. I showed him the data.
Yeah.
There's data, published data on MRSA, Pseudomonas, even fungi, Doug. And people say, well, why? Why does the blue light? Well, blue light greatly increases these reactive oxygen species, and the microbes don't have an antioxidant system like our cells do. So sunlight will kill bacteria if you give it enough time.
So you're hitting them where they can't respond.
They can't respond. That's something they can't really become immune to or develop resistance to. So what's really cool, you could Google this. They have blue light.
You are so funny. I don't think she's not touched a piece of her body with this light now. It's just
They have blue light robots for human hospitals. They look like R2-D2, literally. And they turn these loose in the surgery room or after the patient leaves, and there's data. It will blue light. It's an ultraviolet on these. Every square inch of that room.
and they're killing all the.
And the incidence of C. diff and MRSA has significantly gone. They're very expensive right now.
How about Pseudomonas?
Yep.
That's a big one for
well,
them.
we have Pseudomonas data in veterinary side.
I'm sorry. I've had to cut out and just leave
I
this
wish we had a
conversation
video.
because I'm sticking this in my ear and I can't wear my headphones. But I'm
Now
very,
this-
I'm very busy.
Let me tell you that device also has special heads that will go into an ear canal. We use in our dogs and cats with chronic ear infections. I don't know, has everybody used
Otitis,
it?
oh, yeah.
We've been using it like crazy.
I
That
love
way.
it.
It's really a neat product.
So let's talk about the one you got.
So Ken brought, there's 2 in this particular iteration kit, and one of them is to rent, right?
That's My Pet Lasers. Cindy has the veterinary unit, which
Of
has
course.
has the blue light, and it's much more powerful and many more programs. But part of the problem with laser therapy, and Doug will say, no, is client compliance. If the dog has to come in 10 and 12 times for laser therapy, it doesn't work as well. They don't like it. And so because these are class 1, you'll never burn. You don't have to worry about them burning their kid or damaging their own eye. You can send these home and with a protocol, and then they can treat at home. And the veterinary clinic will then lease or rent them on a weekly basis.
Can
And
a person buy one of these?
Sure.
you can't buy this unit. You need a veterinary license for the veterinary unit.
I want the collagen one.
These
Can I
are
buy that one?
yeah. Well,
They both do that, right?
sure. They're over the counter. These for treating animals. Let me make it clear. These will fail without a veterinarian in treating animals. I mean, you can get them out of pain, but you're going to need Dr. Doug's expertise when you're trying to heal something, because too much of this, you'll actually inhibit healing. You're not going to damage tissue with these. These are very safe, but you can inhibit healing.
So there are protocols, and we're developing. You're developing those all the time.
Oh, they're developed, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
They're developed.
And I'm sure there's new application becomes new protocol development and stuff. But yeah, these are great, and we've had lasers for over 10 years. This is the first version we had, and now we have a second version, and now we're talking about getting this third iteration from Dr. Kopp. We are going to close up for this moment and come back with a recap visit. Very, very interesting stuff. And again, I use a lot of these products, so I get it. I really understand it. But thank you, Ken. We'll be right back. Cindy and myself, Dr. Doug's All Things Animal Radio Show, will be back in just a moment.
Yes, he's the chief, he's the king, but above everything, he's the most tip-top, top cat.
Well, here we are in segment 4 of Dr. Doug's All Things Animal Radio Show, and Cindy Vickers and I have been enjoying this visit with Dr. Ken Kopp. And just in recap, so Ken came to us, began as an equine veterinarian. Again, we were classmates at the University of Missouri, and that was a lot of fun. Ken never talked to me because I wasn't good enough, but anyway, he went on and practiced for many, many years in a very successful practice, and then he switched into a new interest, a new path, about 25 years ago, into industry and consulting. So what he does is he develops programs and supports active development, I guess, product development. The 2 products that he brought to our table today, one was a nutritional supplement made from the lining of Eggshell, and that has very significant anti-inflammatory use, and that's very exciting. We're using that in both human and animals right now in a product called Steadfast for us. And then he came along and started talking about his Class 1 laser, which is also a method to stimulate cells in the body to heal. And Ken, why don't you go ahead and give us a real quick recap in your words?
Well, I should mention, if they want to learn more, it's Multi-Radiance is the company. Multi-Radiance, 2 words, Multi-Radiance Medical. And there's a more research, they can learn more about this. People are looking for non-pharmaceutical solutions, and both of these have no side effects, and both of them offer great promise. We're learning more and more about nutraceuticals. This NEM, eggshell membrane, is a nutraceutical. It's a bioactive product, and there's good research on this. People claim, well, you don't have any research. There's very good research on this. There's very good research on these Class 1 lasers.
We've got to get away from steroid use. It's just the same problem in pain management, opioid use.
Amen.
We're looking for alternatives that aren't going to hurt people and addict us. And if we're going to get addicted, we might as well get addicted to blue light, right?
That's right.
I think I was addicted to blue light in college.
That was Blue Oyster Cult.
Oh, okay, good. I remember.
And nutrition.
Black light.
Really get very educated about nutrition,
yeah.
not just Facebook
Well, you know
educated.
what? Humans think that we can recreate better than God. And the reality is these are all natural events that have been evolved or somehow have been created and modified over time. And if we can start to learn better about how to use the natural world, and so much that we're losing because of a lack of conservation sensitivity. We don't even know the plants and things that we've already lost. We don't know what animal products we could have retrieved. So this is neat when you see companies that are actually reaching out and trying to go back to basic, fundamental, here's what exists in nature, and let's try and replicate it and mimic it or mirror it. I think that's really interesting.
So what could be more natural than light and eggs?
That's right.
I mean, it's pretty cool.
Anyway.
I'm all about eggs, so you can even dissolve the eggshells and get like the best calcium.
Well, I spoke with someone yesterday real quickly that is very interested in helping me develop the egg development industry, the backyard. We've had guests here talking about backyard chicken development, and this guy believes that there should be a chicken in every backyard.
I just bought 4 hens. Yeah. I'm just got into it.
I love it. I like the chickens. We see a lot in our clinic right now. So I want to thank you, Ken. And if people were more interested in these subjects, go ahead and look up Multi-Radiance. And how can they look into the nutritional product? Is that
Arenus.com, ARENUS, Arenus.com. Steadfast is the product.
Great, and that'll be super. We don't have any events today to offer, is that correct?
No, but the APA is tomorrow. They're a big event. Tomorrow.
Is that a rescue adoption event as well, or just?
Oh, it's like a big carnival, but the the main focus is to get pets adopted and to raise funds so they can help as many pets as possible from the Animal Protective
Do you know where that's located?
Tillis Park, yeah.
Tillis Park.
But I mean, it's got like a beer truck, and it's got food, and it's got games, and it has music, and it has games for the animals. It's their
Beer for the animals?
Beer for the people, so that they'll like each other more. But it's a very big fun time, and of course, perfect weather tomorrow. So.
It's supposed to be, yeah. Well, thank you all for being here and listening to us at Dr. Doug's All Things Animal Radio Show. If you need some training help, feel free to call us at 636-530-1808 and ask for Cindy Vickers, and we'll connect you. Or if you need me, Dr. Doug Pernikoff, the Clarkson Wilson Veterinary Clinic, also same number, 636-530-1808. Appreciate everybody listening. It was a great show. Really appreciate it. We'll get you back here soon. I know you'll have new products.
Definite repeat.
Yeah, definite repeat. Thank you very, very
Amen.
much, Ken.